Well, it was not a good night of basketball for the Indiana Fever Tuesday at Gainbridge Fieldhouse as Kelsey Mitchell scored the first basket of the game, but for the majority the rest of the way, it was the Atlanta Dream in charge and in front. So the Fever came roaring back late, had a chance to even win it in the final 10 seconds, but missed not once but twice, not getting a great look to go down there, and ultimately, well, the Fever are not going undefeated this season. 91-90 was the final, the Dream coming into Indianapolis and leaving with the win. But one of the big things that was disruptive for this Fever team was their starts to the halves, right? Got down by 8 after 1 and then gave up the first 11 points in that second half. Those two spurts were really what was so costly for this Fever team, and then they were playing from behind most of the way. Too often the Dream were just able to do what they want. The physicality took over, and there was a ton of breakdowns and coverages for the Fever in this one.
Like, it was just flat. We missed free throws, we missed layups, we didn't really execute. They were physical. And I think that was kind of why it didn't feel as smooth as we would have liked there.
We played like 5 individuals defensively at times instead of collectively as a unit, and good teams take advantage of that. You know, Atlanta was really good at getting downhill. They knocked down some tough shots, but when you dig yourself a hole, it makes it really difficult to use all your energy to come back. We still got to figure out how to get all 5 players on the floor on the same page on both ends of the floor. You know, we're pretty disjointed sometimes offensively just as much as we are defensively.
It was some rough basketball in that first half. 4 of the 5 Fever starters had fouls within the first 4 minutes. There were 13 combined fouls in the first 11. On top of that, have you ever seen this before? Both coaches using a combined 3 challenges. They were successful in all of them, including 2 from Stephanie White. That just led to a choppy first half. It was disruptive. It was mostly in the half court. It seemed like there were so many constant stoppages that disrupted play and prevented any kind of rhythm for either team to build. Now, that said, the Dream fought through it. They went inside. They had success there in the paint. They were the more physical team. They hit the Fever first, and it took the Fever a while to respond. But overall, man, quite a choppy first half was memorable from this one.
It was ugly, man. It felt ugly, so I know it looked ugly to you guys. And I think that, for one, we have to give ourselves some grace. We just started this thing less than like 2 or 3 months ago, and so I think it's just a learning curve as far as seeing what people need and where we need need to be most effective. But because it was choppy, I think that we could have handled it better. I think that our lows were too low.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You know, it's every coach's frustration when you have to use challenges on out of bounds plays. I mean, it is what it is. But for teams to win 3 challenges in the first half, I don't know that I've ever seen that either.
To me, challenges cannot take that long. It ruins the flow of the game. I get it, it's early in the year, the refs want to make the right call. We can't sit there for 2.5, 3 minutes and on an obvious hit out of bounds off of them and still not know the call. I get it, there's things to look at, there's the clock, there's where is the ball going to be taken out. But that's not the only reason the flow of the game was ruined, but like, we're just standing there, we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting. And then obviously, like I said, a lot of free throws shot between both teams tonight. That makes the game more choppy when there's a lot of fouls. Excuse me. But, you know, it's tough when Coach White is put in a position to have to use both her challenges in the first half on calls that were pretty point blank, and then we're left with none there in the second half.
Now, all game long, Caitlin Clark faced a physical Dream team in particular. Ryan Howard and many others picked her up full court. They were face guarding her. They were being tough with her, feeling her, making sure nothing came easy, and yet she still led the Fever in this one with 27 points and 11 assists as well. But she took a beating, and it's a physical game and what the Fever are going to come to expect throughout this season.
We didn't take care of the ball. We didn't handle their physicality. I mean, that's going to be the MO against us all year long. Teams are going to be physical. They're gonna push us. They're gonna shove us. They're gonna hold us. They're gonna do whatever they're allowed to get away with, and we have to figure out how to use that physicality against them. That's how I play us. right? Like, we have to figure out how to use that physicality against them and get a little bit better in those areas.
We heard Kelsey Mitchell talk about this team not being disciplined, not doing what they needed early in the game, not knowing their scout and the personnel and those sort of things. She also later said it was the leadership and so many of them being so competitive that ultimately got them back into the game and making things interesting as they came roaring back from a 14-point deficit there in the second half. And then late in the game, we saw Caitlin Clark bang through a couple big three-pointers that forced Atlanta Dream with a new head coach to call timeout. And Caitlin was waiting for that moment. She was waiting for this building to come alive because due to the Fever trailing so quickly and by so big, and then on top of that choppy first half, this building was kind of quiet. It was not alive until later in the game when Caitlin gave them a reason to be.
Yeah, it felt like the crowd was kind of just waiting for a moment to cheer and kind of go crazy. So I appreciate them. They really helped us there, especially in the fourth quarter, and helped us really get the lead there with a few seconds to go. So the crowd was incredible.
You always hear me say being consistent in our discipline, and today we failed miserably as a group because there were certain things set in stone for us to do to be effective from quarter one to quarter four. And you guys didn't see what it was supposed to look like till quarter 3.5 on in the floor. So
Fever got a couple good looks at it late in the game. It was Natasha Howard, though the first read was Aliyah Boston, but it was a nice read by Caitlin, and Howard just unable to get it done. Now, Caitlin took the ball out. She typically takes the ball out. I think in a perfect scenario, you get it into Boston, and then Caitlin comes sweeping by and picks it up. Or if they're all over her and the defense sends two with her, Boston's wide open to create. And remember, before the season, they've told Aliyah, we want you to be more of a hub, have the offense run through you. And today, I thought she was phenomenal, doing so many different things, making the hard plays. She made a key layup that was assisted by Caitlin Clark late, and she finished with 24 points and 10 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, initially we're trying to get the ball to AB, but she was being chucked, so she couldn't get there. She had a good read. I mean, Tosh was open. We probably should have called timeout in that situation, but I felt like Tosh was due, right? She had a good look. She had two good looks, and that's really all you can ask for in that situation.
In this one, it was the Fever's three foundational pieces that were strong. Clark, Mitchell, Boston, those three combining for 75 of the Fever's 90 points. On the other side of it, DeWanna Bonner, 0 points, 1 shot in 16 minutes. Natasha Howard, 6 points, missed all 4 of her free throws in a game where as a team, the Fever did not do well. 16 of 26. It's not why they lost, but it's also why they didn't win this one. In turn, they leaned a lot on Lexi Hall on the bench. She delivered with her defense, with her hard play, as well as the chemistry that she already has pre-existing with those 5 returning players. She almost played 30 minutes in this one, but outside of her, they really did not have much from their depth in that bench group, especially with Bonner and Howard. That has to be figured out. It's certainly going to take time, but it's also an area where they badly miss Sophie Cunningham, that is. I talked with her at shoot-around, posted the story at fieldhousefiles.com. She's ready to go, excited to get going out there, but it's the medical staff ultimately making the decision, and I think the fact that they have a jammed schedule this week that's keeping her out. But especially with Bonner, especially with Howard, that's something that this coaching staff and players has to figure out.
With DB and with Tosh, like how we bring them into the fold, so to speak, and that's a challenge that we're looking into. We're trying to figure out, shorter stints because it was an up and down game, right? And I felt like Kels, Caitlin, and Lexi were giving us really good stuff, on both ends of the floor.
Well, now it's a quick turnaround for the Fever. This is the start of a 3-game stretch over 5 days. They'll have a quick turnaround with a rematch on Thursday before hosting the Liberty here at the Fieldhouse coming up on Saturday.
It sounds small, but the small things make big things, and that's why we didn't win. And so I think that this is a learning experience and a learning curve for all of us, especially when you're trying to win games, and like game 6s or game 7s.
Great for our team, a little adversity. How are we going to respond? How are we going to come in here tomorrow morning and watch the film and learn and get on the court and get better? And like I said, that's why this league is so great. You have a couple days and then you get right back to it. You find a way to respond. We have a chance to go there and play them actually. So it's even better, I guess. We can, get a little redemption if we go down there and play well.
Brittany Griner scored 21. Brianna Jones was solid inside, 19 points, 13 rebounds. And Ryan Howard did a little bit of everything, including scoring 20 points in this one as the Dream get it done, edging the Fever out by 1. I think the Fever were favored by about 7 points in this one, but it was the Dream able to come away with the victory. And tonight began an incredible stretch as well, I should note, with basically a Fever or Pacer game almost every single day over the next 2 weeks. Of course, Game 1 of the Pacers-Knicks Eastern Conference Finals beginning Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden. But I also know there was some frustrations as well with fans unable to watch the game necessarily locally due to the NBA TV blackout. That is right, even though it's upsetting. It's not available on YouTube TV. It's not available on Hulu with the local broadcast. But Thursday, keep in mind, that one will be available on Prime Video. One last thing, by the way, Bubba Watson, yes, the pro golfer, 2 times Masters champion. He was here, sat courtside for the game, and beforehand was able to briefly catch up with Caitlin Clark. He says he's a big fan, watches almost every game, and gave her one of his drivers for the golf course before the game. We also saw IndyCar driver Kyle Larson ahead of Sunday's Indianapolis 500, and also former Fever star Katie Douglas was in the crowd. But no undefeated season for this Fever team as they fall here tonight, 91-90. For FieldhouseFiles.com, I'm Scott Agness.